Hello, welcome to the book I am going to be reading for May. It is by Terry McMillan and it's I Almost Forgot About You. We about to have a different setup. Hey y'all, I'm about to be on my couch chilling. Let me just kick my shoes off. Let me get comfortable. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, I almost forgot about you. I don't know how many chapters it has, but it has 244 pages. Okay, the first chapter is titled Running Out of Time. It's another exciting Friday night, and I'm curled up in bed, alone of course, propped up by a sea of pillows, still in my lab coat. The sash so taut is suffocating the purple silk dress beneath it, but I don't care. After a grueling day of back-to-back patients, I'm a few minutes away from being comatose. But I'm also hungry, which is why I'm channel surfing and waiting for my pizza to get here. I stop when I come to my favorite standby, Law and Order Criminal Intent, even though I've seen almost all of them, including the reruns. These days, I usually just watch the first 5 or 10 minutes, long enough to see Detective Gorin stride onto the crime scene in his long trench coat, tilt his head to the side, while he puts on those rubber gloves, rub the new growth on that beautiful square chin, and bend down to study the victim. It's at this moment, before he utters a word, when I usually pucker up, blow him a kiss, and then change the channel. I've lusted over Detective Gorin and yearned to be held against shoulders like his long before my second marriage bottomed out. Truth be told, over the years, I've fallen in love every Wednesday with Gary, lips at CSI Warwick Brown. And even though I was no Trekkie, Avery Brooks' deep baritone and sneaky smile made me say yes out loud to the TV. I also let myself be seduced for hours in dark theaters, hypnotized by Benicio del Toro's dreamy eyes, even though he was a criminal. By Denzel's swagger when he was a slick gangster. Brad Pitt as a sexy young thief. Ken Wannabe as the most sensual samurai I wanted to ride on a horse with. And I wanted to be a black gasha and torture him until I finally let him have all of me. I hate to admit it, but if I had the energy, I'd kill to have sex with the first one who walked into my bedroom tonight. I'd let him do anything he wanted to do to me. It's been centuries since I've had sex with a real man, and I'm not even sure I remember what to do first, should I ever get so lucky again. In fact, I think I'd be too uncomfortable, not to mention scared of getting all touchy feely, and don't even get me started on him seeing me naked. Hell, this is why I sleep with the remote. When I hit a doorbell, I glance over at the broken blue clouds inside the clock on the night table. I've been waiting 40 minutes for this pizza, which means they're going to owe me a free one. I roll off the bed on my side, even though the other side has been empty for years. I walk over to the door and yell, "Be right there!" Then I grab my wallet out of my purse and beeline it to the front door because I'm starving. That is so not true. I'm just a little hungry. I'm trying to stop lying to myself about little things. I'm still working on the big ones. I open the door and standing there sweating is a young black kid who can't be more than 18. His head looks like a small globe of shiny black twists that I know are baby dreadlocks. His cheeks are full of brand new zits. His name tag say free. "I'm so sorry for the delay, ma'am. There was an accident at the bottom of the hill and I couldn't get up here, so this one's on the house." He looks so sad, and I'm wondering if the price of this pizza is going to be deducted from his little paycheck, but I dare not ask. "I don't mind paying for it," I say. "It wasn't your fault there was an accident." I take the pizza from him and set it on the metal stairway. "That's real thoughtful of you, but I'm just glad this is my last delivery for tonight," he says. leaning to one side as if he's pretending not to look behind me. But of course he is. This is real nice crib you got here. I ain't never seen no yellow floors before. It's downright wicked. Thanks, I say, and hand him a 20. He looks as if he's in shock. Like I said, ma'am, this piece is on the house, and I also got some drink coupons you can have too, he says, pulling them out of his pocket of his red shirt. It's a tip, I say. Is your real name Free? Yes, ma'am. How do you feel about it? I dig it. I get asked all the time about it. So, how old are you, Free? I'm 18. He's still staring at the 20, but then quickly shoves it inside his back pocket of his jean in case I come to my senses and change my mind. Are you in college? I'm hoping he says yes and that he's taking English so one day soon he'll stop saying ain't. Almost. That's why I'm working. You really giving me this whole 20? I nodded. Do you know what you want to major in? Mechanical engineering, he says with certainty. That's great. Your husband rich? What makes you think I have a husband? I have to have a husband to be rich. Everybody that live up in these hills is, even them two dykes that live next door, and they married. Those dykes aren't just my neighbors, they're also my friends, and they're lesbians. All right, my bad, he says, flinging his arm up like, don't shoot. I didn't mean no harm. I know. Anyway, I'm divorced, and I'm not rich, but I also don't struggle. You clean him out then, huh? No. Then he gives me the once over. You some kind of doctor? I look down at my lab coat. Yes, I'm an optometrist. Which one is that? I help people see clearly. I say, so as not to complicate it. Who helps you? He asks with a smile, which throws me off completely. What a loaded question to ask a woman old enough to be his grandmother. Just fooling you, Dr. Young. No disrespect intended. None taken, Free. Who helps me see? See what? Cool. Well, look, I gotta dash and get this car back to my cousin. But major thanks for the mega tip. And I have to say, it's nice somebody black gave it to me. Most of the white folks up here ain't big on tipping, except for them lesbians. What he just said was a little on the racist and sexist side, but I know he meant well. He runs down the sidewalk and jumps into that raggedy car of his, removes the piece of sign displayed on top, and disappears down the hill. I lean against the door frame watching him go. I really should have praised him for working to pay for college, and if he hadn't been in such a hurry, I would have loved to tell him that he might find his calling in college and he might not. But I also tell him to search until he did. Otherwise, he could end up doing something he just happened to be good at, something respectable that might guarantee him a nice income. But one day, when he's older, like say 53, soon to be 54, when his kids have grown up and he's twice divorced and bored with his profession and his life, and the thought of trying to change it all, or even where he lives, scares the hell out of him because it feels like it's too late. I tell him to please figure out a way to do it anyway, since I'm an excellent example of what can happen when you don't. I turn off the porch light, close the door, and I can't believe all of this is flooded in. I walk across these cool yellow concrete floors and sit on these cool metal stairs and look out at the light jutting up through those soft navy blue waves in the cool black bottom pool. And I look up a flight where both of my daughters used to sleep, and I look down to where the library and the guest rooms are, and I sit here and eat this entire cheese and tomato pizza. I am full of regrets. Monday mornings are the worst, which is why I left a little early. The freeway is still slow going, but I'm used to it. I crack my windows, although it can't be more than 50 degrees. The dampness coming from the bay can't eclipse the clarity of this morning as thousands of us slowly descend around a curve. And there waiting for us like a giant postcard is the Bay Bridge, and right behind it is the San Francisco skyline. This is a beautiful place to live. But then, as typically happens at least once a week, the traffic suddenly comes to a screeching halt. I can see the reason up ahead. A 4-car pileup is blocking 2 of the 5 lanes, and everyone is trying to move over to make room for the fire trucks and ambulance I now hear. I just pray no one is hurt. I roll my window all the way down and put the car in park. Some have already turned off their engines. I leave mine running and call my office. When my cell phone rings, I know who it is before I even glance at the screen. Hello, Miss Early, I say to my mother, for obvious reason, but also because her name is Earlene. Hello back to you, Miss Georgia. Of course, I was never any Miss Georgia because I was born in Bakersfield, where she still lives, and I was named after my late father, whose name was George. There's hardly a day that goes by when someone doesn't ask me if I'm from Georgia. In college, I just started lying and saying yes, Macon. But then they wanted to know why I didn't have a draw. What can I do for you, ma'am? Are you feeling okay? I'm probably healthier than you. Anyway, I'm calling for 2 reasons. I'm going on a cruise for seniors with my church. That's nice, I say, trying not to laugh because I'm thinking this is going to be one wild and scandalous cruise. That's all you have to say? I'm thrilled for you, Ma. I know you go to one of those mega churches, but are there enough seniors in the congregation to fill the whole cruise ship? Of course not. There are 10 churches, and we're not going to be the only older people on it. She's 81, soon to be 82. When and where are you going? We leave 2 weeks and 1 day from today for 10 whole days. We're going to 4 or 5 islands in the Caribbean, and I can't remember right now. One of them is Grand Cayman. That's a whole lot of numbers, Ma, but it sounds like so much fun. It'll be good for you. I know. I still miss your brother and your dad, and I get lonely in this condo. And I'll just go on and admit that I get tired of going to church just so I can have a social life, and I don't have to get dressed up to worship at home. Anyway, I'll be doing a lot praying standing in front of those slots. She laughs. Okay, Ma, what's the other thing? Because I'm stuck in traffic and it looks like it's about to start moving. Well, you know it's almost time for my annual eye exam, and my cruise conflict with the date I have on my calendar. Ma, it's not set in stone. I know, so I'm hoping to get a rain check to see if we can make it after the holidays, unless you think I need to have it sooner. Ma, you don't have to have the test on the same day every year, but around the same time is just smart to do at your age. I'm not senile yet, Georgia. I'm not even going to respond to that. And who is we? Please don't say Dolly. Well, it's not safe for me to drive that far alone anymore, so Dolly is willing to do the driving. Why me, Lord? Dolly is my older second cousin, whom I love but don't like that much because she got a nasty attitude and never has anything nice to say about anyone, especially me. I know this to be true because gossip travels faster within families. She was convinced herself that I think I'm hot shit because I went to college and live in a nice house with a pool. Some relatives I can live without, and Dolly's on the top of that list. The boys want to come too. They haven't seen you in years, and they've been having a hard time finding work. The boys are over 30 and haven't worked in years either. Last time they were here, They smoked marijuana in the bathroom and tried to drink up half the liquor in the bar. I'm about to start remodeling, so there'll be no place for them to sleep. I lied. Well, it's about time, and I hope you tone it down some. I feel like I'm walking into a rainbow every time I come through your front door. Gotta go, love you. I usually give her smooches, but she just hurt my feeling, so I don't much feel like it. I rush past the tall wall of windows, and Marina, our 6 foot Japanese receptionist, waves at me. She's on the phone, sitting behind a long maple counter. In the 4 years she worked here, she's worn black every single day, including on her fingernails. From here, you can see only her shoulders. She waves and gives me a slow thumbs up that all is fine. I wasn't really worried, but I don't like to inconvenience patients, even though the situation is more often the reverse. Unlike home, the office is serene. The walls are all pale gray, a warm yellow, and one is white. My mother approves. 9 chairs are white, except for one that's yellow. 4 oblong purple tables are scattered around the area meant for fitting eyewear. Almost every inch of the wall space is filled with frames and sunglasses to suit almost every taste and price. One of the most annoying but favorite patients, Mona No, rushes to open the door for me. Thank you, Mona, I say and head on over to Marina. Mona sits in her chair, the one next to the door if it's empty, or else she'll stand. She'll be 75 soon. She only needs strong readers but claims she can't see the tips of her fingernails when she holds them out in front of her. She comes in to have her glasses adjusted at least twice a month. She has 40 pair and counting. The text thinks she's probably suffering from dementia. I think she's just lonely. She also doesn't like the text to warm her frames. She insists I do it. After lifting them out of the hot sand and slipping them behind her ears, I watch her stare into the mirror a few minutes too long, as if, or until, she's satisfied she looks like whoever she wants to be. Although it'll soon be afternoon, good morning, I say to Marina as well as to the 3 other patients I know are waiting for Lily, my partner, who doesn't come in until 11. She parties a little too hard, and even though she dresses like a hooker under her lab coat and wouldn't be caught dead in heels less than 4 inches, she's a damn good optometrist. So, I say to Marina, what's the verdict? You've only missed one appointment and I rescheduled. Thank you much. Is somebody in my chair? I ask without looking over the schedule. A newbie. And not to sound corny, but she really is black and beautiful. First name is Cleo, last name is Strawberry. How cool is that? We must thank our lovely florist for the referral. Cleo just wants new contacts, and Miss Knoll has made it very clear she'll wait. You need a tall Pete's. It won't help, but thanks, Marina. She hands me my appointment list and the patient's folder. Strawberry. I head to my office, grab a clean lab coat from the closet, slip it over my boring blue dress, then sanitize my hands. I read over her chart quickly and head 2 doors down. I tap lightly on the door. When I hear an energetic voice say, "All clear," I feel better already. Marina was right. She looks like a black princess, probably her mid-20s. She closes the Dwell magazine in her lap like a child who's been caught reading something illicit. She reaches over to set it on the instrument table but knows that's wrong, so I hold my hand out along with the smile and take it. She looks up at me and smiles back. Good morning, Miss Strawberry. I'm Dr. Young, and I'm so sorry I'm late. Good morning to you as well. I was probably right in front of you because I just got here about 15 minutes ago. So no need to apologize, Dr. Young. I just pray no one was seriously injured. I hope not too. Apparently, we're going to have to thank Noel for the referral. Her floral arrangements are like sculptures. We never know what to expect from one week to the next. So, your last name is Strawberry. That's not a very common name. No, it isn't. That's why I like it. Eons ago, when I was an undergrad, I had a good friend with that same last name. What college? UCS? UCSF? My dad went to UCSF for undergrad too. I graduated in 1976. He was the class of 1975. His first name is Raymond. I can't believe what she just said. Ray Strawberry and I always thought of each other as best friends with benefits because his girlfriend was at Harvard and he was madly in love with her. I wasn't really attracted to him at first. Ray and I were both studying our butts off and lonely and needed some reliefs. So we made a pact that we would call each other up for sex with no strings attached, which at first we did once a week, but then it got up to twice weekly, and then whenever we could steal a half an hour. All was going well until his girlfriend came home for spring break, and I realized I was jealous because unbeknownst to me, I had accidentally fallen in love with him. I can't believe you're his daughter. We kind of lost touch after he went off to Yale. Ray was serious about becoming a surgeon. So did he? And is he practicing in the Bay Area? How is he? I'd love to say hello. Wow, what a small world this is. Well, he passed on. I gently put the ophthalmoscope back on the instrument tray. It doesn't matter that I haven't seen or thought much about Ray in all these years. I can't believe his daughter is sitting in this chair in my office and has just told me that the man I fell in love with is dead. It's been 5 years now, she say as she brushes her fingers through those thick black tendrils. A 6-car pileup, oh dear. Shit. I'm so sorry to hear this. So very sorry. Shit. I grab a Kleenex for myself and then hand her one. I give her the exam, measure her vision, and dilute her pupils in total silence. She starts to tell me her father's history, but suddenly stops. She knows. When we're finished, I write her prescription for new contacts, tell her how nice it was to meet her, that her vision will probably be blurred for the next few hours, and to avoid direct sunlight. On her way out, she hugs me like it's goodbye, and I know she won't be coming back. Aww. I'm melancholy for the rest of the day. I don't feel like driving in rush hour traffic and don't feel like going home. I walk 6 blocks toward Fisherman's Wharf. Even though it's only 6 o'clock, it's almost dark and the breeze coming from the bay bites. No matter how warm it is in San Francisco during the day, the temperature is guaranteed to drop as much as 20 degrees by evening, which is why I have on my linen trench coat with a wool scarf wrapped around my neck 4 or 5 times. My hands are in my pocket. I turn left on Embarcadero and almost bump into a homeless woman blocking the sidewalk. She's wrapped in a grimy green blanket. Her hair is colorless and her face is dirty. I can't tell how old she is, but what I do know is right now this sidewalk is her home. I open my purse and pull out a bill that happens to be a 20. I put it in her can and keep walking. I do not feel generous. I have no destination in mind. I'm just trying to register the fact that someone I was once very close to and loved is dead. It doesn't seem to matter that it's been over 30 years since I saw him. It doesn't seem to matter that I can't remember the last time he even entered my mind. What's making me so sad is he never even knew that I loved him. I cross the street and go into a restaurant that's holding happy hour. A handsome host asks if I'll be having dinner, and I tell him I'm not sure. He asks where I like to sit, and I point to outside. I follow him and luckily am seated right under a giant heater. Almost all the tables are full of professionals who work nearby. The water in the bay looks black and the waves are high and heavy. Ferries to Santolito, to Baran, and Lakesburg are crossing paths out there. They pass right by Alcatraz. The Oakland and Berkeley Hills twinkle on the other side of the bay and to the left through light fog. The Golden Gate Bridge still looks red even at night. I take off my coat. Instead of white wine, I ordered a cappuccino. I should have told Ray I loved him before he graduated. I should have taken the risk of finding out he didn't love me. And what if he did? When my coffee arrives, I sit the phone and then wipe the rim of the cup with my index finger. As I listen to the waves crashing against the dock below, I'm now wondering where the other men I once loved might be. What? Whatever happened to them? What are they doing? How did their lives turn out? And are they happy? And are they alive? I've done a pretty good job of airbrushing most of them out of my memory, but now I wonder if they erase me too. Why? I've been in love at least 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 times. 2 I married, 3 were full throttle love, but then the transmission died, and the other 2 were over before we got started. This doesn't include the men I only had sex with. That number is much higher. Over the years, it became clear that sometimes you fall in love only to realize you don't even like the person. I liked Ray before I loved him, respected him, and he certainly respected me. He had integrity. He was honest. We talked about anything and everything. He was also a good listener. I learned to be one too. I didn't put on airs and I didn't have to work to impress him. He liked me as is, which is why we didn't play any silly games. In fact, he was probably the first guy I could say I was friends with. After Ray graduated, he went on to Yale and disappeared from my radar. I became a better person because of the time I spent with him, knowing him. I never got a chance to tell him that, but I think I would like to let the other men know what I gained from loving them, maybe even hating them. Right now, I don't exactly know because I never thought about it before. What I do know is that men have occupied almost 35 years of my entire adult life. That's a whole lot of time. It now seems obvious that the way we are raised has a major impact on what kind of person we turn out to be. But so does who we love. I want to find them. I want them to know they were once important to me. Whew. I want to tell them what they gave me. I want to find out what I gave them. I want to remember why I love them. I want to find out why they love me. I want to understand why we stopped loving each other. I want to find out why we stopped caring for each other. I want to find out why we hurt each other. I want to apologize. I want to explain. I want to forgive them. I want to find out if they've forgiven me. I want to figure out why it's so hard to forgive. I want them to know I didn't forget about them and I just chose now to remember. But more than anything, I really want to know if they're still alive and healthy and happy and thriving, and if they become the man, the person they wanted to become. I hope so. And I thank Raymond Strawberry for helping me see this. Okay. I'm going to keep reading. On the way home, there's no traffic. I feel different, lighter, clearer, as if I've just opened a lane for myself and I'm about to enter it. When we're young, we think we're always going to be young. We thought life was going to be one long party, one thrill after another. We knew we could get over heartache and disappointment and failure in a snap because we were going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities and do-overs. We knew that success and happiness and love were in the cards. We didn't worry about the future. We were more worried about the next time we were going to get laid. Now, you fall across the bed when you're not sleepy, but just tired of the way you live or aren't living. From the outside, you shouldn't be complaining, but success and a good credit score can't love you or give you an orgasm. You even empty the trash and wonder what you're really throwing away. You comb your hair and put on makeup and buy something pretty to wear and get nails and toes painted hot pink. Even though you don't feel hot, you wonder who will even notice. You shave your legs and under your arms and get your eyebrows waxed and you wonder who will notice. And then one day, out of nowhere, you stop wondering and start worrying that the best part of your life is behind you. Is this how it's going to be forever? Is this all there is? God, you hope not. Woo! On Friday night, I decided not to help Detective Glory solve any murders. Fuck him. In fact, I don't turn the television on at all. I take a bubble bath, I shave my legs and my underarms. I give myself a mud facial, I pluck my eyebrows, I put on a comfy pair of pink cotton pajamas that I folded quite nicely last week. They still smell clean. I fall asleep before 10. On Saturday, I decided not to go to Costco or Home Depot or Target or the grocery store for anything because there is really nothing I need. I go to the movies. I buy a ticket to see You Will Meet a Tall, Dark Stranger, not realizing it's a Woody Allen movie. And as usual, it's smart and entertaining, but there's not a single person of color in it. I managed to laugh anyway. Afterwards, I walk outside and into a nice restaurant and have lunch. Butternut squash soup and a Caesar salad. When I get home, I decide to reread The Alchemist. Oh, what a night. On Sunday morning at 7 o'clock sharp, I text Wanda, meet you at the reservoir. I'll be there at 8. She replies, we'll meet you there. Hooray! Wanda happens to be my cheerleader. She's worried that her best friend might die a lonely spinster, which is why she's the nostalgia queen and continues to remind me of when we were hot young things who used to make men take numbers. Well, now my number is 175 pounds. She's been happily married to Nelson for 32 years. They chose not to have children and never apologized for it. Three's a crowd, she told me right after they eloped in Maui. Wanda's been my best friend since college, and even though she's opinionated, often misses the mark as well as the point, it's also the reason I love her. She stands her ground, and I can count on her getting on my nerves at least once a week. She's the sister I never had. She pretends to golf for a living, but has yet to earn a dime. Not that she needs it. Wanda's also the only black person I know who was born with a gold spoon in her mouth, which is probably why she's on so many benevolent boards. There isn't a week that goes by she's not at some dull dinner celebration or honoring someone's worthy. But Nelson just stopped coming up with excuses and just started saying, I don't want to go. He's an accountant who spends most of his free time reading espionage novels and watching reruns of Star Trek. These banquets are also an excuse for Wanda to get dressed up. but for some pathological reason, she's cheap as hell, can't dress to save her life, and doesn't buy anything unless it's on sale. She spends most of her free time in outlets. Wanda decided over pizza one night to major in psychology, which is probably one reason she was unemployable. But she enjoyed not working and is addicted to a number of old lady hobbies. Scrapbooking is one, and because they had zero children, her scrapbooks are full of pictures of all the dogs she and Nelson had rescued from the pound over the years that have since passed on. Ooh, creepy. Then there's needlepoint. Ugly needlepoints are scattered all over their house, and three loud, shivering, newly purchased chihuahuas sleep on the ones they can reach. I have never been able to sit there and watch her do it without needing a drink. I don't understand the purpose of needlepoint because none of the pictures are ever interesting. In fact, I find most of them to be depressing and eerie. But because she's my best friend, or BFF, as my younger daughter Frankie has reminded me to call her and Violet, I've lied and said I love them, since she gives me one every single Christmas regardless. But so as not to hurt her feelings, I put them in low traffic areas. They say you should never tell anyone what you're going to do until after you've done it. I disagree, because there's something to be said for intention. Plus, I've always had a hard time keeping my mouth shut when I'm itching to share what I like to think is good news. I drive up the entrance road lined on both sides with giant oak and pine trees. It feels like an enchanted forest, and when I reach the top where the parking lot is, a huge blue body of water is surrounded by hundreds of acres of green and gold hills. I spot Wanda stretching on a park bench and pull into the parking space. To my dismay, Violet and Velvet pull up right next to me. Why didn't Wanda bother telling me that Violet was coming and bringing her daughter? I wave and smile and don't get out of the car. This spoils my plans. How can I have a personal grown-up conversation with a hip-hopper right next to us? Before I can figure out how to handle this, Velvet jumps out of Violet's white Range Rover, runs open my door, and gives me a big hug. Hi, Auntie. Thought I'd join you guys this morning. It's been a long time, I say with as much enthusiasm as I can muster. She runs over and does the same thing to Wanda. Like mother, like daughter. She's in skin-tight orange leggings and even tighter white tank top. She has about 1,000 blonde braids that hang down past her shoulder. She runs back to the SUV and hops back in. Wanda turns and waves, hunches her shoulders, and I can tell she isn't thrilled to see Velvet either. Velvet not only runs her mouth nonstop like her mother, but she's loud. Violet is my older college friend whom I love like a stepsister, but I'm not crazy about her standards. For being so smart, she's dumb as hell and gets on my nerves, but I just can't bring myself to divorce her. She won't let me. We've gone months without speaking, but eventually she always calls back. Or I break down and call her. She's the younger of 9 and apparently had a lot to prove because she's competitive and hates to lose. Her brains and beauty merged quite well and she became a top sports attorney, but I still wonder how she managed to pass the bar. In her heyday, Violet probably slept with half the NBA, MLB, and NFL in her quest to represent players. She finally cooled her jets when word got around she was a legal slut and her client list started diminishing. This, however, hasn't stopped her from dressing like one. Even after 3 children and at 44, she still has the body of a 36-year-old. Violet is married to Violet. She never believed in the institution, but she did believe in cohabitating. For the last 5 or 6 years, she's been what she calls a free agent, except that Wanda and I think Velvet has been cramping her style. At 25, Velvet has yet to find a college she likes or a college that likes her. So she's been trying to figure out why, while living rent free and asking, "Do you want fries with that?" Violet treats her daughter more like a girlfriend and is stupid enough to confer with her on things that Velvet knows nothing about. One son lives with his father in Toronto, and the other one plays basketball in Spain. Neither of them visit, and Wanda and I know why. Because Violet was not a great mother. Of course, she's on her cell and holds up her index finger to give her a minute. I text Wanda, "I'm going to call you in a sec. Answer it, but don't look up or at me." I dial her number and pretend I'm getting an incoming call. I put a glad to hear from you look on my face. On our walk this morning, I had planned on telling you that I'm seriously thinking about putting my house on the market, and I'm considering selling my share of the practice and trying to change professions sometime in the next near future, and not necessarily in that order. And Wanda, I just found out that Ray Strawberry died 5 years ago, which has really broken me up. And even though it might sound like a crazy thing to do, I've decided I'm going to look up all the men I love just to let them know I'm glad I had the opportunity to know and love them, and just to see if they're alive and well. I know it may be a lot to take in, but now that Violet has brought Miss Thang, you know we can't talk about anything real. So I'm hanging up and we can talk about this another time. I ended the call, get out of the car, and smile as if I just received the best news. Violet and I trot over towards Wanda, and I can't believe she's wearing loose brown sweats and a beige zip up jacket. She must be depressed about something, but I can't tell because she's also wearing Ray-Bans. Heidi ho, ladies. After we warm up, I'm going to jog on the upper trail for a half hour with Velvet, and then we'll meet you guys at the lower one for the last 20, okay? Fabulous, Wanda says, trying not to sound too relieved. She and I do not jog. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. The three of us do a few stretches while Wanda leans against the railing. The reservoir is in the background, and people are already out in pedal boats, rowboats, and even a few kayaks. Some folks are fishing from the shoreline. It's a Kodak moment for sure. I'm a bit stunned when Wanda gives me a smile like I just performed in a school play and did a great job. She then claps her hands and puts on her white visor. Of course she was sporting one of the 5 identical last year's no-brand exercise outfits she brought at an outlet last month. This one is mint green. I like it. Violet and Velvet give us a see you later wave and jog away towards the upper dirt trail, which is off to the side of the asphalt one we're about to walk on. They disappear within minutes, which is when Wanda walks over and gives me a hug. "I'm so on your team," she says. "I know that, but let's get warm first. Whenever you're ready, I'm all ears." We walk in silence for the first 10 minutes. There are joggers and quite a few elder folks are being pushed in wheelchairs. We wave to them. Those who can smile back. Lots of people with leash dogs stop and go. Bicyclists whiz by us in designated lanes. Almost everyone we pass or who pass us say good morning or hello and how are you today or another perfect day or stay fit. When we finally reach the boathouse on our left, it means we made it to the top of the first steep incline. We walk slowly on the now flat path a few minutes, long enough to catch our breaths. "So," I say, "wait, Georgia, I got to ask you something first." "Of course." "What made you to decide to do all of this?" Well, sometimes you know in your heart it's time to make a change, but the longer you think about it, the longer the change takes. If ever, I'm finally tired of just thinking about it. But let me ask you a question. Ask away. You're happy with life, aren't you? She nods. Well, I'm not. I'm bored with mine. And since my life is the only thing I do have any control over, I want to start changing some of it. I'm listening. Don't you have any regrets? We all have regrets, Georgia. Well, I feel like I have too many. I'm getting old, Wanda. We're all getting old. Not old, old, but older. And at some point, we need to be honest with ourselves and do what excites us instead of what looks good on paper. I think that's how I ended up in optometry. I was good in science, and I wanted to impress my father by proving how smart I was since he was a doctor. But I just kept on proving it's only to learn later that he didn't care what I did as long as I loved it. So now here I am not loving it. And even though there's some change, some things I do love to do, I'm not sure if it's too late to find out how good I might be at them. But so help me God, I'm going to find out. Well, finally, this is the Georgia I missed. Hold on now. This isn't I Dream of Jeannie. One step at a time. First, you have to have the dream before you walk inside of it. Let's keep walking. Of course, if I had it to do over, I would have tried my hand at decorating or designing. I'm pretty sure my father would have hit the roof if I said, I'm thinking about majoring in interior designing because one day I love to make homes uniquely beautiful. Ha! That's right. Up there with telling your parents you want to be a writer and you're going to get a degree in creative writing. Back in the day, I didn't know that real people design furniture. I thought you had to have a gift or something. I can't draw, but I've always been full of ideas and had a knack for playing with color and textures. I fell in love with paint in college, learned how to make old things new. I brought a used wooden futon that came with a matching chair at a yard sale to fill up my tiny apartment. They were willing to throw in the cushions, which I passed on because they were filthy. I brought batting and some loud upholstery fabric and made my own. And then I forgot all about beauty. After 15 minutes, Wanda finally says, let me say this. Hearing you say you're putting that house on the market is music to my ears. Why? Because you don't need it. You've raised your kids. Fuck grass and flower beds. Fuck a two-car garage. Get a loft with a whole new view. This way your relatives will have to stay in a hotel when they visit. I don't trust apartment living, Wanda. Anyway, I just need a new venue. But there won't be a for sale sign in the front yard next week. That much I can tell you. I know, honey, but this is all just so freaking exciting. And as far as giving up your practice goes, I say right on. I always thought it was a pretty dull profession with no real payoff, not to mention a little creepy looking inside folks' eyes all day long. I never really thought it suited you. Well, why didn't you ever say so? Because that's right up there with parents trying to tell their kids who not to marry. You have to find out for yourself that you are. It just takes some of us longer than others to figure that out. You need to find something more creative to do. Make me some more of those goddamn pillows. They were gorgeous. I still get compliments on them all the time. Well, I'm not whipping out the old singer anytime soon, but last week I found myself walking into an unfinished furniture store like a shoplifter and came out carrying a tall wooden stool I intended to do something magical to. Just don't ask me what yet. And what are you going to do with it? I cracked up. The only thing I know how to sew anymore is a square and a rectangle. And one Christmas, we all agreed to make one another Christmas gift, and Violet gave me a dry flower arrangement but forgot to take the price tag off the bottom. And of course, Wanda made me a needlepoint. I whipped out my old sewing machine and made her and Violet silk pillows. Apparently, I was on cruise control because I went a little overboard and made them for everyone in the office and even some patients. And of course, Mona No wanted me to. Hold on. I can't. Sorry, y'all. I had to open the door for hubby. Okay, where was I? Mona Knows wanted to sell her 4, which I refused to do and just gave them to her. Then my sewing machine broke down and no more Martha Stewart. We walked around a curve in silence until it straightened out. So how'd you find out about Ray? I tell her, and all the reasons I've decided to look these men up. As long as you're not trying to be slick and rekindle any old flames that burned out centuries ago, that's my thought. Please, you should know me better. I understand that you can't go back. I'm not sure if I could do it, but hey, this is why people go to shrinks, to get perspective. And that old cliche known as closure? Plus, what do you have to lose? Oh hell, I see Velvet coming down the path. I will hold off telling all of this to Violet because she'll probably miss the point. So tell me real quick, who's up first? I think I should start with Abraham. Well, I would hope so. Okay, that's the end of the chapter. Okay, so she mentioned that she wanted to go back and talk to the people, to the guys that she ever fell in love with. Do you think that's a good idea? And as for what she wanted to know, let me go back. She wanted to want them to know they were important to her. Shouldn't they have known that at the time? She wanted to tell them what they gave. I want to tell them what they gave me. They should. All these things that she mentioned. She should have known all of that, right? If she was in love with them. Chill. I can't wait to see how this one gonna go. Okay, so I'm gonna see y'all in the next chapter. Bye. Oh, and let me know how you like my new setup.